Welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, and Dedication. My name is Dakota Lang. This is Garrett Cotton again. Special guest on today, the man behind all the scenes. So, welcome, Mr. Jack Walton.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Let's
thank
get a
you.
little clap, huh?
Happy to be here.
Yeah, so Jack, so tell us a little bit about yourself, just a little bit of background, and just a little bit of biography about
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm from St. George, Utah. It's where I live currently. I moved back there just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, grew up in St. George, Santa Clara more specifically. Went to Dixie State. It's now Utah Tech. Graduated with a bachelor's degree in business. Let's see, what else do I do? Not a whole lot.
you. Have you ever lived in San Antonio when you went down there, or have you always lived in Utah?
I've always lived in Utah. I moved down to San Antonio just for that one summer.
Really? And how did you get that connection? Because so you were going to do door-to-door pest control. How did that come about for you?
Yeah, so one of my buddies, actually, you guys know him, Cade Thorkelson. He's the
Oh, yeah.
the Pleasant Grove office guy.
Yeah.
He reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I'm going to sell pest control in San Antonio." A buddy of mutual friend of ours had reached out to him, and he was like, "You should consider coming with me." And this was when, summer sales is still,
Oh yeah.
pretty hype, but it was really booming back then. Everybody was doing it.
Social media didn't let it out yet.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
as big.
yeah. But there was a lot of success, a lot of money to be had doing door to door, and I thought that I would get my piece of that. Didn't really go that way, but I learned a lot that summer, and Cade reached out to me initially though, and convinced me to come out with him, and yeah, it was a hard summer, but it was a good summer.
Did you stay the whole summer, or was it just like a month long thing, or?
So I was out there for about 3 months. I sold for 2 of the months, and then I switched to tech, spraying the pest control for the last month because I was in a slump and I was not breaking out of it. So
Yeah, but still got paid.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
do kind of like one of those things where they give you like a contract and you live in someone's house or they get like it's a recruit house type stuff? Or?
yeah, so I lived with Cade and 2 or 3 other guys just in an apartment complex. I think it was one of the terms of my contract when I signed it that they were going to pay for it. Like no matter how many sales I got, I was like, you guys are paying for, that was
it's
one of
free.
the terms of my,
It's a free trip. That's
Yeah.
kind of like our recruiting tactic for getting people to Performance Windows is come live with me for 2 months and then we'll show you the ropes along the way. But that's a recruiting house.
yeah.
Not necessarily living. Y'all didn't live with like a closer or something like that, or
So it wasn't a setter closer like style script. It was just like you knock on the door, you have an iPad with you, and if people are interested, you sign them up.
oh okay.
So there wasn't like levels like that.
It was just
there's-
like either you're selling or you're a tech.
you're a salesman, a tech, or like a market owner, the equivalent of a
Okay.
market owner.
I
Yeah,
gotcha. So just
So-
different.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never really talked with any pest guys before, so I don't know too much about their background or like how it works for
How old are you, Zach? Jack?
them. Oh, Jack.
good.
Zach.
Yeah.
25,
25. How
Yeah.
old were you when you did pest control?
18 or 19. It was my first
Okay.
summer after high school.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
so right after high school.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you got did you stick around? We're really close with friends with Cade like throughout your time, and then that's how Performance Windows came around, or how did?
Yeah. So, Cade.
So, because and we were talking about a little bit of Performance Windows because that's how we got to get in touch with.
Yeah,
each
that's
other.
how we met.
Yep.
We met each other. So
When did I first meet you at? Did I meet you at?
the first time I remember ever like having a one-on-one conversation with you was in Denver. I was
Really?
up there for content for something or other, but I remember you saying we've met before, and I was like, oh shit, I don't remember
I think
this guy.
I remember seeing you. I went to the Kaysville office one time when I worked in PG.
Yeah.
And then we went to the Kaysville office for like a blitz out in somewhere. I don't even know where we were knocking at, but I think I went to the corporate office and got to meet James for the first time, and I think that's where the first time I met you. Too.
Yeah, and we probably shook each other's hands, and that was it was pretty quick. But I remember talking to you a little bit more in Denver.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of where it ever calls. But you got involved with Performance Windows through Cade. Is that kind of where that came from?
No, so yeah, you asked me that before that we took care of the fly. So me and Cade did sales in that summer of 18, and then we were both at SUU in Southern Utah at school, and we hung out a little bit there. We weren't that close, but then I had moved back to St. George to do my last year of schooling at Utah Tech, and that's when I got in touch with Levi, who's my cousin, the owner of Performance Windows, and he wanted me to come work for him in the Kaysville office. So I worked there for about maybe a year or a year and a half, or with the company I was with, Performance Windows, for about a year and a half, when the office position in Pleasant Grove opened up, and I knew that Cade was living up north because he was done with school. So I just reached out to him, was like, hey man, like, would you be interested in working at this, this job I'm doing? It's a door-to-door sales company. And, we both had a rough summer with pest control. So his initial reaction was, oof, summer sales, maybe not. But no, it was, that's kind of how we got Cade involved. And
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. It's just crazy because you flip-flop roles. He tried to get you to pest, but then you got him where he's at now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So whenever you came in with Performance Windows, you were straight to the content?
No, so I was the Kaysville office guy, doing follow-ups, getting reviews, collecting money for about, I want to say it was 6 or 7 months. But that's when we started the corporate office, after I had been in the Kaysville office for six or 7 months. And I had just done some like interviews on my phone, really, to show Levi and Kyle, what they could be doing, the kind of presence that they could be having on social media. And they were like, let's do this thing for real, go get a real camera, go get all the softwares you need to edit videos and pictures so that we can do this thing, all the way. And that's kind of how the content job was created. So
yeah, would you say that like this type of stuff, what we do now, like you produce everything for us, is that kind of like a passion of yours that you've always dealt with?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always loved, like, when I would go on trips when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I remember always filming everything with my, like, iPod Touch, and then, like, editing it together on, like, iMovie, So it's always been something that I've really liked doing, but I really never thought it would turn into a job that I'm doing with you guys now.
That's awesome.
And it's been great. So
yeah, and I know. So with your new position where you're at, are you kind of doing anything related to this stuff as well with him, or is it just strictly like the real estate side of things?
Mostly real estate, back end of real estate, all that stuff, learning all the ropes.
With their business, is it as involved like on social media? Is it something that has an audience, I guess you could say?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've only been there for three-ish weeks. But where they're doing real estate, real estate video of, homes and
I've seen like drone
shots, Yeah, that stuff is all over Instagram somewhere, I'm sure. I'm not doing it specifically, but I know that, all these listings are getting pictures taken. So they're definitely on, the social medias somewhere.
Yeah. Your perspective, what's like so this is all new for me, you, and Dakota, the podcast stuff, and being able to actually venture out and do it. But what's your vision of what do you see us achieving through our podcast in like say next year?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first thing that I remember both of you guys telling me was we want this to be a recruiting vehicle. We just want to be able to build a brand that we're able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Communicate with that audience of people that might be interested in doing what you guys do at Performance Windows.
Yep.
So that's been kind of the end goal for me. It's just how can we get this thing to as many people, get this on people's phone screens, as many people as possible, so that if they are interested or somewhat interested, they can have an opportunity to get into it, make some money. I would say by the end of 2024, like you guys talked about in your last episode, was just getting a lot of people on, guest speakers on the podcast. I think that's a great goal, just to get a lot of different perspectives in the business world and otherwise. It doesn't necessarily have to be sales specific. But
the more we do, it's like we kind of like how it's like in general of just people who are like-minded individuals, and they're going for a higher purpose.
Yeah, motivated, driven people that want to
so
share what they.
It is great because at the end of the day, there's never telling where we're going to be in 5 years from now. So it's just it's amazing to open up the doors and I guess, create a following in a sense, and create a sense of this is a place where you can come for opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, just spread that message.
Yeah. I think it's also maybe not, you know, you don't want to go where the wind blows you, but, you know, you guys, and we have a vision, but I think that it's important to just kind of see where it takes you, you know, where the opportunity is, you know. Somebody gives you a suggestion, you want to be open to it, you know, like, you know, maybe do this thing on your next podcast. You know, you don't want to be so zeroed in on one thing that
we've noticed even by like podcasts 6 and 7, we're like running out of stuff to talk about because we don't want to keep repeating ourselves and stuff. So it's finding ways to. I mean, we're only on, this is number 11, so we're getting better as we go. We're learning how to really navigate through conversations and like actually have like new meanings to our podcast rather than so much of just repeating the same content of like. For me, the first like 3 podcasts were really just my analogies, just like saying those analogies over and over again.
Yeah.
And I can't say them too much because I love them and I say them all the time.
Yeah.
But got to create new content.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
let me ask you a few questions. I just thought of this, but kind of gonna flip the script here a little bit. You guys can be the interviewee.
Okay.
I'm from Utah, Mormon kid. You know, you guys are from Louisiana. You know, you grew up in the South.
Way different.
It's so different, and that's one of the things that, you know, I've noticed working with you guys is that we have a lot of similarities in all 3 of us, but there's a lot of differences too. What do you guys think is like one of the biggest things that, because you guys work with a lot of people from Utah and other places too, but what do you guys think is one of the main differences that you see in the people that work for Performance Windows that are from Utah or near Utah, I guess, versus the people that you brought on in Denver and now in Austin that are working with you guys?
From my experience, I would say that I feel like the people who are kind of more Utah based or like Performance Windows based, especially like people who've come to different branches or go to different states to open branches. Like Zach's a great example. I feel like everybody that I've came in contact with is very, very by the book. Like they're very, very disciplined, and so they're gonna do what they're supposed to do. They're very, very. I mean, they're good people. Everybody that I met's a good person, and typically the good people, they always, you know, they do what they're supposed to do all the time. With the Louisiana culture, it's a wild card. I feel like even though we have people who are disciplined and we have people that work hard and do what they're supposed to do, and you know, in the South you hear the term true Southern gentlemen all the time. You know, we're just respectable. Nobody's a stranger to us. But as far as like the work aspect of it, I think it's just because the main focus in Louisiana is more on life. It's just the day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Today is not, tomorrow's not promised. So enjoy today.
Yeah.
So as far as like the work aspect of it, you know, Louisiana, I feel like we will do some uncalled for stuff to achieve what we're trying to achieve. You know, because in the back of my mind too, the end goal is like relaxing and enjoying life. That's the end goal. You know, so it's going to come back to that. So it means I've got to work really, really hard in this short period of time and do anything that it takes to achieve what I'm trying to achieve so that I can get back to, you know, in a sense, not my old life, because my old life was not the good life, but to a life that I want to live. You know?
Just
So
being able to enjoy it.
A luxury life.
I feel like everybody either they get comfortable and they're good to ride that out forever, or for me and like the people that we bring up here, we want to get comfortable and then ride it out. So it's just
one of the biggest things I would say is such a difference is, you know, it goes back to the culture, right? You know, where y'all grew up, y'all seen a lot of nice things. You know, you go down to Louisiana, it's swamp, you know, everything. And you actually mentioned it this morning just at the office, you know, with the humidity and everything, the paint will start peeling on homes.
Everything's rusty.
Everything's rusty. Up there where y'all are from, everything's absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, y'all don't deal with
clean.
mold. Mold is like, it's a normal thing
Right,
in houses. Like in any bathroom that I've ever gone in my whole life, you can find mold in the shower curtains, in the tops of the it's
corners
just,
of the room,
because the humidity just sticks. And it doesn't go anywhere. So like it just I think he's right. Is like y'all grew up with quality, you know, and like seeing really nice things, and like especially revolving around the church, the parking lots are immaculate. The grass is immaculate. when I went to Utah, I felt like the trees were fake.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't even look like a real tree.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like
Yeah.
somebody
Too
like
manicured.
yeah, they're
Literally.
too perfect.
Yeah.
And versus Louisiana, it's just like, what happens happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where it grows, it grows.
Where it
They've been
grows, it
working on the
grows,
same road since like 1960, and they're still going to be building it in 60 more years.
Yeah.
Like they just add a lane, but it takes 20 years to add one. So
It's just a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
The stuff that just like the house that I live in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you on more than one hand, people that live in nice stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Seriously. But you go back to Utah, everything's absolutely clean like this.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing.
I'm sure they have HOAs and stuff in Louisiana, but I couldn't tell you where one's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing is that it goes back to the discipline. A lot of y'all have already implemented in your lives, because where we're from, like you said, it's partying, cutting up, having a good time. It's always about having a good time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Y'all are more like, what can we do next?
Yeah.
What are we trying to achieve next? And that really helped us grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's not many people in Louisiana that are like that.
Yeah.
So to get out and find people that are actually they care.
Yeah.
That's just
Care about
amazing.
growth.
Yeah.
Let's come back to that for saying of show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your friends in Louisiana, it's pretty rare that you're going to find a group of people that will all put their heads together to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
But when you separate from the distractions, then now you're picking out. It's like, oh, he cared a little bit. He's probably got a potential to do so. But it's not overnight. They're up here hungry.
Yeah.
It's convincing them over the course of 2 months to get hungry.
Yeah.
Because they're so set in that day-to-day life.
Right.
So that's the challenge, because we have potential, because we're all human. Everybody's capable of doing it.
Yeah.
But it's just showing how and convincing them to want it for themselves.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Utah, I feel like y'all are just they do the right thing all the time.
Yeah. Kind of cookie cutter a little bit almost.
The people are almost cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And so like y'all know to go to church and show up on time, take care of your body,
Yeah.
take care of your things.
Yeah.
In Louisiana, we know it.
Yeah.
we don't do it.
There's some other priorities at
Food
times.
is
Some
pretty
other
good.
priorities, yeah.
Like
What would you say from your perspective the biggest difference? I mean, obviously, both of us, and you're going to start to get to know them more, and you've already seen it from the outskirts. What would you say the biggest difference from the group of guys that we have compared to, let's say, you in an instance?
That's a good question. What I was going to say before you answered that or asked that question is, it's interesting how you guys answered my question, because I think that you guys are some of the hardest workers that I would say. I would just say you guys are some of the hardest workers at Performance Windows. You guys have shown that with your revenue numbers. But I also know a different side of you guys, where we've been in Costa Rica and Mexico. You guys know how to hang out, have a good time, right?
Yeah.
good of a time.
But and I don't mean that like in a dissing way. It's just like in Utah we don't really do that. It's just like you go to work, you come home on the weekend, you hang out, watch a football game. It's a different culture, right?
Yeah.
And I think that you guys, it's just interesting to see how you guys are able to kind of take where you went from Louisiana, came to Utah, and you've implemented that hard work ethic, but you also know how to enjoy and relax a little bit too,
Right.
which is cool.
I think it's always to an extreme. Like we're working really hard, or we're relaxing really hard,
Yeah.
or we're partying really hard.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, it's like to an extreme.
Yeah, and I think I think that's great. Dakota, what was your question one more time? Tell me one more time. Sorry.
Like your perspective.
Yeah. What you think is different from us, and maybe even how it, because there's things that y'all do that made us look at stuff at a totally different perspective. Like, what are some things that we do that make you go, oh, okay,
Yeah. Let's see here. I think that you guys have you two specifically, and this may go for a lot, all the people that have worked for Performance from Louisiana, but you guys aren't really afraid to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
No matter their look, no matter their age, whatever it is, you guys aren't going to stop anything from stop you aren't going to let anything stop you from talking to somebody, whether that's on the doors, whether it's on vacation, whether it's doing whatever, you know. And I really admire that. I think it's cool that, you know, you don't let any of the social barriers or whatever get in the way of, you know, just talking to somebody, having a good conversation with them. Whereas I think in Utah, you know, people stick to their people, their cliques a little bit more. And they're not going to necessarily go out of their way to, you know, talk to a stranger, you know. And I mean, I'm guilty of that too, you know, because Utah, frankly, it's a bubble, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, people have their cliques, and they're comfortable.
I feel like people, when I was there, I'd be walking the park, you know, like reading script, like rehearsing, because I don't know nobody there.
Yeah.
And I feel like people could look at me and tell that I was different.
Yeah.
Like they were just like, interesting. Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I'll tell you, they could.
Yeah.
I mean, people in Utah, they'll look at somebody and they'll jump to all the quickest conclusions.
I felt it a few times.
Yeah.
And it's not like a bad thing. It's just more of like, I almost felt like I was like, all right, like I can feel the eyes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Everybody's watching me. Yeah. Yeah. But, everybody like when I would come to Denver, everybody was very, they would all come up to me, hey, what's your name, man? How you doing? Like, what do you do for performance windows? You know, just whereas if I were to walk into a Phoenix office or a Boise or one of the Utah offices, it's just kind of like, who's this guy? You know, I'm not going to say anything, but who is this guy? You know this guy.
Right.
So that's one of the differences, I would say. But yeah, I think that it also, like you said, it kind of just is the luck of the draw. Wherever you're from, you know, people have very different personalities, different upbringings, and that you know shapes and molds them. So yeah, those are a few of the one of the big ones is just the level of outgoing that somebody might be.
Did you do a mission trip when you were coming up?
Like, did I go on a mission? No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't go on a mission.
Is it a choice, or is it kind of like, do you get drawn to do it, or how do they pick for people that do it?
So, everybody's allowed to go, you know. There's like a few things that, you know, you want to be worthy, and there, you know, there's some standards that you're held to if you want to be able to go on a mission, right? But yeah, you know, you know, I think there's a fee. See, I don't even know. I didn't go on one. But you know, you pay to go on a mission, and you know, you go and you serve people for 2 years, and I think that's really cool. For me, I didn't go because, well, frankly, I have anxiety, and it's something I've grown up with, you know, just dealing with.
Right.
And being away from home, being away from what I know is it's super stressful for me, you know. Like even coming down to Austin, you know, I wouldn't say I'm stressed or homesick, but there's a heightened level of like, just I'm a little bit on edge, you know. It's just something that I've grown up dealing with my whole life, you know. New situations, new places, new people. They just, you know, I'm a little bit more on edge.
No growth in the comfort zone.
That's right.
You got it, you know, doing this.
Yeah, you know, and you're totally right. No growth in the comfort zone, you know.
You just got to put yourself there and just whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, and you know it sucks. It sucks a lot of the time, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to you don't want to be uncomfortable, but
Yeah.
like I was saying, in summer sales it was hard, but when I came out of it, I was like, okay, you know, there was a few great things that came from that. You know, I've grown up a lot, you know.
I didn't die.
I didn't die, you know. I was
I always
fine,
say that
you know?
about things. I'm like, I'm not gonna die from this phone call, so let's go ahead and get on.
Yeah,
He'll
exactly.
figure it out.
You know, but yeah, all of my buddies, most of my buddies at least, all went on missions. But yeah, that's
Is it the same thing for females too? Is it kind of volunteer type situation?
Yeah,
or it is.
yeah. So
Did Kenna go on one?
Kenna did go on a mission.
Where'd
Yeah,
she go?
She went to Argentina, Mendoza.
I'd like to go empanadas and all that kind of good food. I'd imagine.
Yeah, Kenna went. She actually got sent home a little bit early from COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she was out a little less than a year, and she was, you know, she had her struggles. That you know, she had like, well, I won't share that. She'd get mad at me, but
It's okay.
Yeah, she came home a little bit early, but it was because of COVID. And it was super uncomfortable for her at times, but she learned a lot and she grew a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And it was ultimately, she would say, a really good thing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I could imagine it'd be pretty crazy because it's 2 years away, and
Yeah.
I know that for a long time you don't get your phone, or like I think nowadays they allow you to use phones, or how does that work with
You don't take your own phone. They'll give you a phone to like communicate with like other members of the church or like your mission president, and like communicate with other missionaries and whatnot. But it's not like you have all your contacts and you're able to just call your buddies, text your buddies. You're not on Instagram or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of they have phones for basic uses of texting, calling people within their mission. But you're also allowed to call home too. Years ago, it was 2 calls a year on Christmas and Mother's Day. You were able to call home, and then it was a FaceTime call when that was, let's see, 2010, 2011, when FaceTime became a thing. But they've loosened up the rules a little bit more, where you're able to call, depending on the mission, once a week, once a month, something like that, So depending on like technology.
Let's talk about this. You just made that big move. Obviously, you left Performance Windows. What would you say your 5-year goal is? Where are you going?
Yeah. So this guy that I'm working for, the CEO of it's called NAI Excel, commercial real estate. He wants me to basically just be his shadow for the next 3 to 4 years, learn the ropes, and then he ultimately, and it's what I want to move into sales. Just commercial real estate sales.
It's gonna be good stuff.
Yeah. So that would be, hopefully in 5 years, that's what I'll be doing, is just commercial real estate.
Heck yeah.
But for the next 3 or 4, I'll be learning the ropes, just diving in head first to learn everything I can.
Yeah.
Just be a sponge.
That's it.
So.
Yeah, you'll be our guy.
Yeah.
Whenever we get there.
Give me a call. Give me a call.
We're growing together because we're learning a lot as we're doing it, and that's what we're so excited about. We're just excited to see like what this is going to bring for us.
Yeah.
Because the people like it's taking a different brand, like a different route. You're going with real estate as well. So again, it's opening more doors.
Yeah.
So it's all about the network and who you know and keeping your inner circle. And
yeah.
You're on a similar goal for us. Now I know you're in the same vehicle that's going the same place.
Yeah.
It's just how long is it going to take to get there?
Yeah. Yeah, and just that being said, I just thought of this. You two were, and I was a little nervous, frankly, to tell you guys that I was leaving Performance, because I was like, what does this mean for the podcast? Like, what does it mean? Like I'll be leaving Performance, we won't be working as closely. I hope they want me to still do the podcast.
Yeah.
But I was frankly very pleasantly surprised, because you guys, Dakota called me, and then you texted in the group chat and said, but long story short, you were both very supportive, like, hey, if this is the next move for you, man, we totally support you. We want to see you grow. So I thought that was cool. So thanks for that.
Absolutely, bro.
At the end of the day, we kind of have the same idea. Like, we don't care how you do it. It's just it's about the destination of where we're trying to go. For us, we feel like Performance Windows is a big stepping stone to get us really close. Do I eat, sleep, breathe Performance Windows? I mean, pretty close to it, but I mean, it's not the end of my journey. You know? There's going to be a lot more after this, and it's just until we get there.
This is just the step to get where we need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah, and I loved working at Performance Windows. Frankly, it was a super hard decision to make to leave. I loved it. It was great working at Performance Windows. It was a great job. I learned a ton.
Yeah.
Got to go on like trips like we were talking about earlier. Like, it was awesome. I had a great job, or had a great job.
Yeah.
And I loved it. But ultimately we got, a job offer, and me and Kenna decided together that it was the next stepping stone. And yeah, but all good things to say about Performance Windows.
Yeah. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
I love it a lot after Monday. I love it.
Yeah. Payday.
That's right. It's the best day.
Yeah, well, that's good, man. Super excited for you, like you said. Yeah, definitely. I think it's cool for everybody to kind of see who's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Kind of see exactly who Jack is.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest challenge that you've had so far with the podcast? You're doing a lot of stuff with it, and what would you say? I don't know. Some expectations we can look at maybe by the end of the year. What numbers you want to be looking at?
Frankly, I don't know if I want to put a number. As long as we're just growing, we're on the trajectory. Going steady uphill, right?
Right.
Yep.
Like we talked about, we've got several thousand views of specific videos that we posted, shorts, Instagram clips, Facebook, all that stuff. And obviously, you want to see you want to get the million view video out there right now. But that's not always realistic. You just want to be on a steady trajectory
Content's gotta
of
come.
growth.
I relate it to sales because anything that I relate, anytime I tell somebody, it's what I've learned on the doors. But I'm not chasing the size of a deal. I'm not chasing the size of the commission. I'm chasing sales themselves.
Yeah.
Because eventually, if I keep getting them, one's going to be big.
Yeah.
One's going to be small. One's going to be big.
Yeah.
But eventually they're going to catch. But I'm just chasing sales. I'm chasing the production. Same thing with these bit videos.
Yep.
We're just chasing videos.
Yep.
Content. One will get big.
Yep. That's right. Yep.
One's going to be small. One's going to get big.
Yep.
But it's just the production itself.
Yep. Just putting stuff out there, getting the content. That's right. But yeah, other than that, I think that, like we talked about earlier, just, reaching out to as many people as possible, to get them on the podcast, get their feedback, even if they don't want to be on the podcast, hey, have you listened to our podcast? Give it a listen. Give me some feedback, just stuff like that.
That's a good idea. I would like to get people involved and give me, what do you think about the podcast?
Yeah.
'Cause people will tell me even at the Denver office, they'll be like, I was listening to your podcast. I listened to this episode. I listened to that episode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's good. And I'm like, it's awkward. All right.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's good. All right, well, don't tell me anything.
Yeah.
I think one of the first ones I said ultimately a whole lot. Like I was like, ultimately this, ultimately, and I kept saying ultimately. And then B-Rob and I think it was Tyler Manessis at the time came in and they were like, ultimately we think that I was like, oh, where'd you get that from?
Calling you out a little bit, huh?
Yeah, so.
But it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's about do it, but like you said, you just got to do it. That's what we did. And, that's what you got to keep doing, especially with your career, bro.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing. We're super excited about what we have going on.
Yeah.
Got a lot of potential. We just got to keep grinding, keep growing. Like you said, just keep an upward trend.
Yeah, that's right. Steady growth. It's the name of the game.
Absolutely. Well, cool deal, man. Glad to have you on. Glad for everybody to get to kind of see who it is behind the scenes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Super excited for you and what you got coming up. I know you're going to crush it at what you're doing. We'll have our commercial real estate guy.
Yeah, give me a
Jack.
call.
Let's
go.
Get that commission up.
I got like a 3-year plan, and then we're going to be on that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll be
Heck
big
yeah.
stuff.
But, hey, drop some comments below. Let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. Mr. Jack Walton, and thank you so much, and see you next time.
All right. Peace out.